Hey, what's up, y'all? This is Britt from Hurtcutz, and I just landed on Mars.
What up, though? Welcome back to Landing on Mars. I am your host, Nelson the Spitter. Ladies and gentlemen, we are officially in 2025, and I am going to get my haircut today by Britt, the CEO of Hurtcutz, and she is going to be on my show today. Today it was a little bit different. I actually came out here. I get my haircut out here, so we are going to have our little my haircut session while we do the podcast. You want to introduce yourself, Britt?
Yeah, I'm Brittany Hurtado, like you said. I got Hurtcutz. I got a little shop out here where I live, so we're gonna get to it.
How long have you been cutting hair?
I've been cutting hair for I think about 8 or 9 years now.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it's gone by pretty quick. Like I feel like I haven't really been in the game for that long, but it's been like 8 years for sure.
So when you started, like, what brought you into the game of like cutting hair? What interests you in that?
So I think I was like 22 going on 23, and I just got like this, like I just wanted to have like that style of like half my head shaved.
Oh,
So
okay.
I did it, right? I was like, I went to my hairstylist. Her name's Linda Rodriguez. She actually still cuts hair, so shout out to her. But I went to her. She cut, she gave me the little side cut, and she's just like mainly like a hairstylist, so she styles like women's hair, right? So after
Mhm.
that, I was like, okay, I gotta go find like a barber, right? So
Yeah.
I where I worked at the time, like someone asked me to go to like this place called Razor Standards. It's in Braunfels, and I went like twice, but I didn't like really dig the haircuts from there because like they didn't listen. Like they kept pushing back my edge up, and it's like you know how when
Oh
you push
yeah,
back the
yeah,
edge up,
yeah.
you get that like
Yeah, when you don't get
weird.
it, yeah, when you don't get a good edge up, it'll make you go
Yeah.
crazy.
And so I stopped going there, and then I started going to Isaiah, which Isaiah has a barbershop called like I think it's called like 512ville. So shout out to him because he would hook me up. Like I would wait hours to like just get my haircut by him because he's so good. Like he's so clean. He takes
Mm.
his time, So I like the way he cuts. So I would go every Sunday and wait, like just like anybody else, sit there, wait a couple hours just for like this little piece of my hair. And he'd always be like, "Nah, don't pay me," but I would, of course, I'd give him his money because it's
Mm.
his time and his craft. So I would do that, and my dad would be like, "Why are you like wasting half of your Sunday getting your hair cut? Like, just learn." So
Oh, okay.
um, he gave me his clippers. Like they're like beard trimmers, dude. Like they weren't even good. So I'm over there like in the mirror. Like he told me like just get like whatever guard like you think that you want it to be,
Mm.
and then just like do your half like, and then go to the next one and just like follow up until you blend it in. So like I
Oh
did
wow.
that. I did
Okay.
that, and I messed my hair up a lot. Like I would go to work with like all the way bald because I
Yeah.
mess up the clipper, or the clip would fall off or something. But like I eventually just caught on, and then like people started trusting me cutting hair. Like I was like, okay, maybe I got this. So let's like start trying on people, right? So Joey, which is a really good friend of mine, he was like the person that I wanted to cut his hair because he's like, if you know Joey, like he's always clean, so he
Mhm.
always has to have like a fresh haircut. So I'm like, man, if I could like get his haircut down,
Yeah.
like I think I could do pretty well. So
Yeah.
not saying that like I never messed his haircut up because like he was one of the first people that I would like really test on like giving him a fade and stuff.
Mhm.
But I felt like if he trusted me to cut his hair, like I wasn't doing too bad. So that's kind of what started it, like me shaving my head, and I
That's
had it like that for a few years.
that's
But
that cosign right there. Like, yo, if I could do this person's hair, knowing that they have high expectations, yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. I get that.
yeah. So that's how I kind of started getting into. And man, when I was first getting into it, it was hard. Like even just taking on like new people, like people would see his haircuts, or like people at work would be like, "Oh, you cut hair." And I was like timid to say like, yeah, I cut hair because I didn't feel like confident in
Mhm.
cutting hair at the time. So I was always so nervous, and I'd be like, okay, what kind of haircut do you want? And I'd like YouTube it, or like look the steps up to make sure that like I knew what I was going to do before going into that haircut. And so like now, all these years later, like I'm not even tripping. Like if somebody's like, hey, can you cut my hair? I'm like, yeah, let's do it. So
Yeah, so now it's like nothing.
nah, yeah, it's nothing.
But then again, you said like it's 8 years in the making, right? So
Right. Yeah.
so
Yeah.
okay, so you got into it by wanting to do your own haircut, pretty
Yes.
much, like wanting to just get your own style down.
Yep.
Damn. Okay. Hey, that does save money. And the beauty about haircuts is that your hair grows back. Like
Yeah.
so you can mess up as many times as you want to, and your hair is gonna grow back.
Right.
So, and it's perfect practice too. So
Yeah.
damn, that's cool. So your dad was the one that said, here's my clippers. Learn from these.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
when now with the technology that we have, like how are your clippers now? Would you say?
Oh man, like when I first started, so yeah, I first was using like his beard trimmers. Like that's not for your hair,
Yeah.
obviously. And like beard trimmers are like so like I don't know, they're just made like very cheap, right? Unless you
yeah,
get
I
like the
get-
really good kind.
Yeah,
And he didn't have those, but like I started off. I was actually gifted a pair of like Andis clippers, which is what I always use now. I just like the feel of them.
Oh, okay.
So I was gifted like a cheap pair. It was like a kit from like Amazon, like $20. And so I used those, and I'm actually like super weird about like new tools. So I used that 20 buck set forever. Like I just did not want to get rid of them, but you could hear it. They were clunky. They had a cord on them. So like I'm pulling it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
That's
like
old school right
I just could not like let it go. And I was like, man, like I just felt like I said, I was timid about cutting people's hair, so I felt like those tools were like my comfort tools, and I knew how to work them.
Okay.
So like, there's different kinds of tools, right? Like for different kinds of hair, different kinds of fades. So I just felt like these are mine, and I know how to work them, and like I don't want to mess up anybody's hair. So I struggled like really getting myself new tools because I was always like attached to the tool. But now it doesn't matter. I mean, it does matter depending on what kind of hair you're going to cut or what kind of fade you're doing, right? Like close fades and stuff like that. But yeah, now I have like the newest tools, right? Because I'm like, I need the new stuff. I want y'all's fades to be cleaner. And it really does matter. Like, if I were to try and cut your hair with like those clunky ones, they wouldn't be as fresh as they are like
so
today.
When it comes to like price, like is like like $100 pair better than like a $50 pair? Like,
oh yeah, for
so
sure.
like just guaranteed just based off price, like off like in that type of world, or how does that work?
I think you just honestly like it's just like anything else. Like you get what you pay for.
Oh, okay, I see.
So like those copper ones are like $500.
Those right there?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And I think I paid like $4 for these. So it's like you just kind of get what you pay for, and actually it just like kind of pays off for itself because I know I would take forever like cutting with those old clunky ones because they just weren't like the blades just weren't as crispy to get into those lines that I needed to fade out or blend out and stuff. Or like at the very end you just need to do some little details to like make sure that the fade's right. Like it just took me so long to do those
Get
things.
to that
And
point,
and like if I use these, like I normally don't have to go back too much at the very end.
Damn.
So
So price does matter.
price matters for sure.
Damn. So when you started doing what you were doing, you started just based off like, hey, I'll start cutting your hair. Like, was it like a word of mouth thing? People like started seeing your haircuts around and like, okay, well, I want a haircut, or like, did you ever like broadcast or like like post anything? Because I know you post now, but like, okay, so what? 9 years ago, that was what? 2014?
I think it was like
14, 13,
like
15?
16, like 15, 16. Oh no, you're right. Maybe like 16. I'd say for sure.
Because I know social media had an impact then, but it's a way different impact now. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like information now gets passed around a lot faster than back then. Like back then, it was still there, but I don't know. Maybe I'm tripping.
No, yeah, you're right. Like, I didn't really like post much. Like, I had the Instagram. Like, I immediately kind of made, maybe not immediately, but like I think a year into it, I was like, okay, I got to start posting. Right, like if I really want to start doing this, like I got to get it out there. Like, how's anybody gonna know unless like Joey's the only one out there like saying that he's getting my, and he would, right? He's good with that. Like he wears my shirts, he does all that stuff. But I just knew like I had to like post photos. You know, people just like me getting my tattoos. Like I'm not just gonna be like, oh, because you tattoo, I'm gonna let you tattoo on my skin, right? Like I want to see your portfolio. So I felt like I need to show people my fades, so that way they can be like, okay, cool, like that's something that I want her to like cut my hair like that. So
I made the Instagram page. I think I made the TikTok page as well, so shout out to you for that. I appreciate that. So so that's pretty cool. So ultimately doing what you're doing, it was just to feel like you said, just doing something for yourself. So how does it feel like do barbers really make a lot of money? Not trying to get like into the funds, but like a lot of times I'll see like a shop and it's like, well, how do they do it? You know, because it's like I know the shops are not cheap. You know what I mean? And of course, what you have built here, this is not cheap. Like, is it financially profitable? And then also on the flip side, there's like barbers that really be charging like hundreds of dollars. Like, is it that lucrative? Like, or
for me, so like I can't really like, I think there is definitely money into it. Like it's a hustle though, right? Like you got to be out there, you got to be showing people your skills, you got to be like every day like, hey, my books are open, unless you have like this full-on clientele all the time that you don't need to do that. But like for me it's different only in the case that like I have a full-time job, so this is just like something I do on the side. And I actually like enjoy doing it. So like it doesn't really feel like work for me. So if ever I was like, nah, I don't want to cut hair, like I could do that. But yeah, I think like I met some guy online, and he's been like trying to like mentor me and like get me to that place where I could charge $100. But like I don't want to do that. Like I think paying $100 for a haircut is like ridiculous. Like I think that's
wild.
It's crazy. Like I think, like I know people need to make their money, right? But like I just think for myself, like $100 for a haircut, like your hair is gonna grow back in a week, in a couple of days. Like I just think that that's kind of ridiculous to charge. But on another sense, it's like the same thing like tattooing, right? Like they got to pay for their needles, they got to pay for their ink, they got to pay to sanitize. Like it's kind of the same. Like this neck strip on you, like I got to pay for that, right? I got to pay for oil for my blades. I got to buy the straight razors, like it's little consumables that you're constantly buying. So I get like having to like up the price every now and then because that's just how the market is, right? Like things are expensive. But like I just think $100 is like excessive.
Yeah, I've been seeing that and it's like, damn, like if you got it like that, your haircuts must be like to the top, you know what I mean? Like I don't know, like I honestly I don't mind paying what I pay with you, but I'm like I always wonder that, you know what I mean? Because I've been to shops before, and like I said, when I'm at a shop, I'm like, if you have your clientele, then okay, cool. But if you're just doing it as like a beginner barber, like I don't know, like to me, I don't see no money into it until like after, you know what I mean? Like until after you learn it and get it down. But then again, too, I'm not in that realm. That's why I'm asking these questions. You know what I mean? Like. Cause I'm always looking at it like, damn, like I'm about hustling and making money. You know what I mean? So if I'm doing something, I'm trying to make money. So yeah, I just wonder how all of that gets done. Like, in your opinion, what's the most complicated customers? Is it children or adults?
Kids for sure. And that's why, like, I know it sucks, like, to have to pay a lot of money to like get your kids haircuts, but like you have to understand, like, when somebody is when somebody is constantly moving and you're trying to fade a hair, like most parents are reasonable and are like, hey, I don't want them to get a fade, right? Because they're not going to sit long.
Yeah.
But like when you're trying to give somebody a fade and they're like moving all over the place, and then like the parents expect that fade to be like top tier, like come on, like
I want it like my hair.
And I kind of like dread that, like when people want like most kids that I deal with they're good, right? They're chill. But I can only imagine like the people dealing with crazy kids. But that is just kind of like a unreasonable expectation to like have a super clean fade on a kid that's like not really. And that's why they cost so much because it takes longer to do their fade rather than you sitting here and I can chop you up in like 20 minutes.
So like, can barbers charge like children's haircuts more than adult haircuts?
Yeah, and most people do. I don't. Only because like their head is way smaller. Like
Yeah.
I just feel like I don't know. For me, like I say, like this is just fun for me, so like I don't mind, and I also like to like help out, right? Like I don't want to like this isn't something that I'm in to like make this like thousands or like
Yeah.
however. Like I'm not trying to live off of this, so I'm also trying to like be helpful in the sense of like you come to get your
What you?
haircut and you like yeah like the dads that bring their son like I give them like a hookup like hey if you come with your son like I'll give you like $10 off or something so like
Okay. Okay.
I'm not in it to like charge you so much money. Like
No,
I just like to do
yeah,
it
I
like
got you.
to keep y'all fresh and stuff like that. So
But like in the barber's world, if they wanted to do that, they
oh
definitely
yeah,
can. So
yeah.
what about like adults? What's the craziest request on a haircut that you have got?
Um
Like, have you came across a haircut that you couldn't complete, or that was not complete, but that was like challenging to you?
I think like in the very beginning I had like a buddy that like wanted his hair like he it and it sucks like right guys like they bald right so like he had a bald spot and he's like I want you to fade it all the way to like the bald spot. I'm like okay cool right but it's not gonna look right
Yeah.
because like I'm fading your hair and then like all of a sudden you don't have hair and then you have hair again so it's like sometimes people
Okay.
don't understand like the haircut that they want isn't something that like can be done on their hair so and
Yeah.
it's hard to like tell them that right like because you always want to please the customer right it's customer satisfaction but like sometimes you're just like we can't do that with your hair
Yeah.
right so and then
Have you ever came across that like that you had to tell somebody like that can't be done?
yeah like but I say it like nicely like, I would just be like hey if I do it this way like I don't think it's gonna look like that good and then I
Hmm.
explain like hey
Okay.
it's gonna
Okay.
yeah and then so they're like okay no you're right like do whatever you gotta do right so I'm like okay cool but yeah it's just like you don't want to and people who are like in that position like they already feel insecure about that right
Yeah.
so it's
Yeah.
like
So
you don't
yeah, you
want to
don't. Yeah, you don't want to put salt on the
yeah
wound. Nah, I
yeah
get you.
so
Yeah, that's crazy. Like back in the day, I used to get my haircut at Rio's. Like when I was a kid, that's where I used to get my haircut, and like I thought that was like the best place ever. But like as I got older, I started seeing the progress of like edge ups. You know what I mean? Because back in the day, it wasn't really like that. You know, like it was a clean fade or a clean wedge. You know what I mean? Like the high top, I want to say, but I say like I don't. When did the edge up really start coming into play? Like the freshness of an edge up.
man I don't know because I don't think I was like in the game yet like I was probably younger right when the edge up was like this thing
Mm.
but now that you bring it up like do you remember when people used to do like double edge ups do you remember that
I think I do like where they had like slits on their edge ups.
nah they had like so they had their normal edge up right and then they had like this line that went like in within the hair they had like another line that like edged it up
I think I've seen that
it's
before.
crazy and like I was just like what is the point of that like only because like even for me now like when people want designs like I don't mind and not a whole lot of guys ask me for designs but like even just like a hard part in your hair like I don't like them because like your hair grows uneven and it takes forever for that
That
spot to grow back so
oh,
like
okay,
and then like the next time you try to get a fade like it just looks like patchy right there because the hair hasn't fully grown back like
damn. I
so
I had a cousin. He used to get like designs in his hair, like a couple of times for I want to say breast cancer awareness. He
yeah
got like that breast cancer thing in his like hair, and like I think he be paying like $100. So is it in a sense like that? Is it worth it? Like when you're doing designs, can you charge them to like that or?
I don't like if somebody were asking me to do like a hard part, like I don't only because like I'm already gonna bust out the straight razor for your edge up, so it's not
Hmm.
like costing me anything extra just to like throw the design in.
No, I got you.
So
That is wild. So when it comes to the name, where do you get your name from? Where, like when it comes to your brand, where does the name come from?
so Hurtcutz came from like man, I sat there and was like, what should I call this? Like barbershop that I'm trying and I was you remember I was straight up out of my
Oh
apartment
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah, yeah,
when I first started
yeah.
this like in my kitchen right so I just I was trying to make something like clever and then I've always been like proud of my last name because it's not like really around. Like there's not a whole lot of us,
Hmm.
or that I know of at least. So I wanted to keep the last name in it, so I just did like Hurtcutz. But it, it comes from my last name Hurtado, so I just try to like incorporate my last name with like cutting hair.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah,
pretty much
that
it.
that's deep right there. And
Yeah.
it's and when you think about it, it does come from something that your dad handed you.
Right.
And the thought, you know what I mean, is like, here, do it yourself, like,
Yeah.
and look at where that advice brought you, you know what I mean? And like, it's not, like you said, it's not something that you necessarily depend on, but that's something that if you needed to, you probably could, you know what I mean? You
Right.
probably could depend on this if you wanted to. But when you have a hobby that you can make money off of, hey, that's
Yeah. Like why
that, like,
not?
yo,
Right.
like, I ain't gonna knock it. Like, and for me, I'm very proud of you. If I've never told you this, I apologize, but I don't think we ever been in that realm for me to tell you this. But I saw where you came from. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
when I think when I started getting my haircut with you, it was during the pandemic,
Yep.
and I had no idea that you cut hair. And like, I like kind of got, I was like, I told your cousin, like, yo, like, why didn't you tell me a long time ago? I could have been getting my haircut with her a long time ago.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, I didn't know. But so I seen where you come from, and like, to see where you're at now, like, I'm very proud of you. And
Yeah. Thanks. I
that's something
appreciate it.
like, I'm like, this is what my podcast is about. Like, landing on Mars is you coming into my world and me allowing you to be that open book. You know what I mean? Like, no judgments, just, hey, say what you got to say, do what you got to do. But I'm also going to give you your flowers. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
that's very important. Like, that's a hustle. And like I said, the way it started and the where you're taking it, like, you're making money off of this. And if you can make money off of something, then hey, like I said, I salute that. And that's dope, man. I like that. I like that. I
I
really
appreciate
appreciate
it.
everybody that's watching this episode. We are 22 minutes in and we're still going. Okay, as I sit here, I see a couple of things. I see you got a Jordan poster with all the best kicks that have been out. You got Kobe Bryant and you got Chameleon there. Can you give me some info? Can you give me some backstory on these three items in here?
Yeah. So man, I've always been like super into sneakers.
Okay,
Even
okay.
now, like I grown up, but like I'm not strictly like Jordan. But like when I was younger, it was like all about Jordan. I still have like this huge closet at my parents' house full of my sneakers, like from high school, like all Jordans, like retros, fusions, all kinds of stuff. And then
Damn.
my closet here is full too. But yeah, I don't know like what it is about shoes, but like that's my thing, and like hats too. Like I love hats, but I
So
don't know, like always like the freshest pair of
so
kicks, like all the time.
sneakerhead.
Yeah, yeah.
I had a special request of like, when did you really become? When did you get into your phase of sneakerhead?
Um, Man, I'd probably say I started carrying probably like I don't know, maybe like middle school. Like when you're
Okay,
younger, like
yeah,
you don't really
yeah,
care. You got
yeah,
recess, you're messing up your shoes, like. But I do remember like seeing like K Swiss and like
yeah.
Fat Farm,
Yes,
like
K
all those
Swiss, Fat
shoes.
Farm. Yes,
And like I always
I
wanted the
have
new
both of those
shoes.
brands.
Yeah, I always wanted them, and like I remember when I was like little, I had like these Keds, right? Like
Yeah,
just the all
kids.
white Keds.
Yeah, those were just real simple.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think it was like for sure middle school, and then for sure in high school, I was like, man, I gotta have all the new
The
shoes like
fresh.
before I hit school. And it's like, my dad always was a very good provider, so like anything we asked for, he was like, yeah, for sure. But like when you're younger and you want like these fresh shoes that just dropped, and you're like, I remember going to Foot Locker one time and they had just dropped like these Spizikes and then like some Fusions too, and I was like, man, I want both of them. And he's like, you can only have one, right? And I was like, oh, I was like, all mad
Mad
because,
at the world,
yeah, like
like,
I was
damn.
mad. Like, I want them, but I gotta have them, man. I'm going to school. I have to have the freshest kicks. And like, I was so upset. But so he ended up like buying me both, right? Because I was like so upset about it. And my dad is the type that like doesn't, like, he don't like to disappoint, right? And like, he likes to provide like the best. So he's like, all right, fine, buys me the shoes. And like now that I'm older, I'm like, what a brat. Like these
Yeah,
shoes are expensive. Like,
yeah. When we
dang.
sit back and think about how we were when we were kids, it's like,
Yeah,
damn,
like
like I was really like
ungrateful.
that.
Yeah.
Now we're grateful for like the little things.
Yeah, man, it's like so expensive. And like nowadays, I'm like, now I'm the one telling my kids, like, nah, I cannot this week. Like, can't have it this week. But
That's what I was telling your cousin. I'm like, when Mia gets to the age of wanting to go out, we're gonna have to be the ones providing that money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm about to go to the movies, or hey, my friends are gonna go on vacation. Can I like what? Like how much? Like
How much is this gonna
so
cost
yeah,
me?
that's gonna be coming out of our bank account. Now when I think about it, I'm like, damn. So I'm getting prepared for that. Getting prepared, but yeah, sneakers. I think for me, I think my cousin Chico had gave me a pair of Jordans. They were, let me see, they were damn what number? They were the 91s. Two, three. The sixes, I want to say. No.
Which one are they? Yeah, the sixes are the
Yeah.
second row.
I think they were those. And like they were the hand me down ones. And ever since then I like always just wanted sneakers.
Yeah.
And like I come from like me, we were probably the reason they took away layaway because we would get a bunch of shit on layaway and then never get it out. So, we'd be at the store dreaming, but I remember getting some Scottie Pippens before Jordan at the time. I think these shoes were actually popular when Jordans were like popular. But the only Reeboks I would wear would be the Iversons. That's just me. But I love Iverson shoes. Like the questions, the ones, those are the best shoes. And Reebok in my opinion. Like,
yeah.
Real talk.
I remember like in middle school there was like some Tracy McGrady's that came out. I think he was with Adidas back then.
Tracy McGrady. I think he was with Adidas.
Yeah, so he had some like cool, shoes that came out too. And yeah, but my favorite Jordans are the number 4s. 4s and the 13s are like they're my favorite.
11 and 13.
I had that.
11, 13, and 14. 11,
you?
13, and 14. Yeah, those are the best ones. The Concords are just like, it's just like a classic. Like,
oh yeah. And like, what do you like in the 11s? Like the breads?
Yeah, you can't go wrong with the breads.
Yeah.
Like you can't go wrong with the breads. When it comes to the 14s, there was a pair that came out. They were black and they had some green on it, and I had like 4 pairs of those when they first came out. Like when I was in high school, I remember letting this dude borrow them so he could play like a basketball game, and he never gave them back to me.
Oh.
But that was like already my 3rd pair, and I remember like back in the day, those like now you could find them on Goat, maybe even Flight Club for no less than like $300.
Right.
Back then they were on the sale rack for like $80, like because they were just around back then. When they dropped, you know what I mean?
Right.
Back when we were younger, we didn't appreciate Jordans the way we appreciate them now. Like back then, it wasn't the way it is now.
Yeah,
like,
but the quality is like gone so down. Like if you were to feel like be able to, right, like if somebody has a shoe from like when they were made them back then, like I have some old school 4s, and like when I put those on, like they move with you, like they feel comfortable. But like now you try to put on a 4 and it's like cardboard. Like in the minute you like walk, you're creased and that's it. Like they just feel so cheaply made, like, and they cost way more, like double, right? So it's
I really got to start wearing my shoes because a lot of my shoes I've yet to wear.
They're gonna like fall apart.
Yeah, and I see that like people show like when you don't wear your shoes, they just kind of crumble. Like
oh yeah.
So I really need to get into that.
I haven't checked on mine, but I'm like afraid that that's what's gonna happen.
Oh man, if now you're gonna have to get rid of them before they do, just so. And it sucks because trust me, like there's Air Force, like for a good while I was getting like a bunch of Air Force Ones, but I like would use them for work. So I missed them up. But if I would have just left them in the closet, man, there were some good ones. Do you remember when Kobe was with Adidas?
Yep.
That was for a couple of years, right?
Yeah, he had like those like space looking kind of shoes.
Yeah, those puffy ones.
Yeah. I don't remember the name of them, but yeah, and then his wife's been dropping some cool stuff too. Like I think she just released like Year of the Mamba shoes, but man, I don't follow it enough to like get a pair. I do want a pair, but like he dropped like some Nike X-rays. Well, she dropped like some Nike X-rays like not too long ago, but they're kind of hard to.
That's the same wife that wanted half of his money, right? Because he was cheating.
Yeah.
Wasn't everybody hating her at once? Like you don't deserve that. Now, like
she's like the woman.
Yeah, like and of course I get it, but I'm just like that's when everything happened. I'm like, didn't everybody not like her at once?
Yeah, I think like maybe like they forgave her because she like held it down and like forgave him possibly. Like I think that's like what the
Well,
gist of it is.
didn't the forgiveness come with like $1 million ring or
Yeah,
something like that?
yeah.
Like, was
He gave her a lot of money, so it's
yeah,
not like it was like just
it was
a
free.
yeah. Like, it wasn't like a
Yeah.
genuine like okay,
R.I.P.
I
Kobe.
forgive
I'm
you.
sorry, Kobe. My bad. Just like talking out loud.
Yeah.
So what's your connection with Chameleon there?
Man. So my brother was like big into like Zero, Trey, Paul Wall, all that like
Mm,
underground
that,
stuff.
that's that Texas Legends
Yeah,
right
and so
there.
like my favorites were like Big Hawk and then Cam. Uh and then like the beef, like do you remember the beef with like him, like
Paul.
yeah,
Yeah,
all
yeah,
of like
yeah,
Mike Jones, all that stuff.
yeah.
And just like I don't know, like through the whole beef, like I feel like he kept his truth and he kept it clean. Like if you listen to his music, he's not over there like cuss like a cuss word every other minute of the song, right? He's just like he's strictly rapping like his lyrics, like his words is. So I just like really liked that about him, and I think he has like a lot of good music, like the mixtape Messiahs,
Oh yeah,
you know.
those are fire.
Yeah. So like, and I would like get on like Dat Piff, like when he would like release those mixtapes and like
Hmm.
download them,
Yeah,
getting
that
viruses on the computers, stuff like that.
messing up your computer for the
Yeah,
music.
but
Yep.
I have all his music, like all his stuff on like this old iPod, and then I have like some of his stuff on like Apple Music. So yeah, I don't know. He's just like he's always been my favorite rapper. Just like I like his music, how how he raps. I think he's clean about it. Like if you listen to the stuff now, like I don't know, the rappers nowadays just like aren't really rappers and they're mumbling and they're cussing. And it's like
Yeah,
trash rap.
we could go back and forth all day about
Yeah,
that. Like, and like one thing about like the Chameleon there, like I remember all the stuff going on when the beef was happening, but like the behind the scenes stuff, like the whole like the Sound of Revenge, that album was really revenge to like he pretty much got left by himself because everybody like chose a side,
right.
and he ended up getting like staying true to himself, getting the deal with Universal, and getting a Grammy out platinum album. Like he really did it on his own. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
like, did you hear how he got how he got out of his contract?
No.
Well, what he did is he was signed to Universal. I believe it was Universal, and he did an audit on himself, and there was a lot of charges that Universal were like taking, and like he just pretty much busted them like stealing pretty much, and
Stealing from him.
yeah, stealing from
Yeah.
him. So what he did is he had a meeting with them, wanted to get out of his contract. They told him no, and they said, okay, well if you don't let me out, every artist that you have on Universal, I'm gonna go tell them to do an audit on their stuff. They said, you know what, here we'll release you,
Here's your
and
money.
they released him from his contract.
Wow.
But ultimately, he just kind of switched the game by going total opposite. Like it's like he just raps if he wants to, you know what I mean? Even if he wants to, like even he said like he won't drop an album just because fans want it. It has to be like a moment, you know what I
Right.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
and I know Paul Wall's always like asking him to like, hey, let's drop an album. Let's figure out a way where we get paid, not the labels. So
Right.
we'll see if something like that comes. But I don't know. I feel like what we went through, what we experienced, the Texas era, I feel like it's not ever gonna be like that. Even if we get new music, you know what I mean? It's gonna like take us back to that point, but then we have to snap back. Like this is where we're at with music. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
it's just like I love seeing the greats do music, but a lot of times, like even what's coming out now, like a lot of the stuff that we listen to that's so legendary is because it was a moment and they were saying something. Nowadays, like I said, they don't really have legendary music. Like these artists that come out, they're not really gonna be remembered in like 20 years. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
Command here is gonna be remembered in another 20 years. Like artists like him are gonna be in that talk, but a lot of artists now they don't really have that. You know what I mean? Like they're just kind of they're 15 minutes of fame. You know what I mean? And it's
Yeah,
like
that's
that's it.
exactly
Like
what's up.
15 minutes of fame. Let's make this money. And hey, you can't knock it because, like I said, you're making money off of something that hey, keep doing your thing. But it's not like long term. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's just
Yeah.
like
It's
here
like a
for the
one
like
hit wonder
yeah,
and then
like
we
here for
forget
the
about you.
moment. But yeah, that's wild. That's That's nuts. So what? How far do you want to take your haircut business? Like how far do you want to go with this?
Man, sometimes I think about that and I'm like I don't know. I don't like the thought of like having like a boss. Like,
I
right,
feel you in
I'm
that.
working for somebody like 9 to 5 every day. Like, I like to make my own schedule. Like
Mhm.
Fridays when I'm off and I'm doing this, like I get to choose that. I get to choose whether I cut your hair or I get to choose whether I'm like hanging out with my son or whatever
Mhm.
like that. So I do think about it. I do think about like maybe I could like learn business and like open up a shop and have like the best barbers in there, right?
Mhm.
And they're making the money for me. But then I'm like, I'm not cutting hair. And like
Yeah.
I do enjoy cutting hair. But that entails, like you said, like the question earlier, like how much money can I make out of just strictly cutting hair? And that's
Yeah.
scary. And like barbers don't have like health insurance and stuff like that, right? So
Yeah.
it's like, what are like the benefits of like just cutting hair? Like, and I haven't really dove into like what that looks like. Um, so I don't know if I'll ever like take it any further than like what I'm doing now. It would be nice to. It would be nice to like
Mhm.
have a shop, have the best barbers in there cutting hair. But like, is it logical for like me and my family? Probably not.
No, I
Like for the
got you.
insurance and the money to like provide, right? Like I know that I get a check every single week, and I
Mhm.
know what that check looks like. But like on a slow week, right? Like sometimes I don't have haircuts on the weekend, so like that's a lot of money that I'm losing if.
Yeah.
And then if like a client changes and they want to go be with another barber, like that's something that you
That's
can't control, right?
yeah.
And I don't like not having control of like my money,
Nah,
so
I
that's a big
got you.
deal.
That
Yeah,
and like you said, that is it is scary. Like damn, because you're putting your all in. If, like you know what I mean, you put your all into it, and it's like to not know, and that is like when you have like steady income, like that's a safety net right there, and especially like how things are now, it's kind of good to have a safety net. You know what I mean? It's
right.
kind of if you could have that safety net, keep it. What's the weirdest payment method has anybody ever tried paying in?
We
Are you serious? Yeah.
I took it. I mean, they had some cash, right? And they're like, I don't have all the cash, right? So I'm like, that's cool. Or
Yeah.
like in the beginning when I would like drink, they'd like bring me beer or whatever, which was like, I'm like, whatever. Like in a sense, like I would probably be spending the haircut
Yeah,
money
yeah,
on
yeah,
a case of
yeah.
beer. So like it was cool. It's not like a big deal. But now I'd probably be like, I don't drink. I do smoke occasionally, right? But like
Mm.
I don't need like what you're gonna like the amount you're gonna give me for a haircut,
Yeah.
right? Like, but yeah,
Yeah,
that's probably
and
like the weirdest.
it
Like, and
kind
I don't
of
even think that's really weird. Like, I feel like people like that's a normal thing people probably do.
it's like it saves you the trip, right? Like
Yeah,
I'm like I don't have
like
to go out myself.
I
Like
don't gotta deal with anybody. I don't gotta ask anybody, and I
yeah,
don't have to go buy the beer, right? So
that's what I'm talking about.
yeah,
That is pretty cool. Yeah, I really appreciate you letting me ask you questions. I really appreciate you letting me come out here and film you. Like I know we have been talking about this,
yeah,
and oh, you're doing the edge up right.
yeah, yeah. Now
I
you're
stay
good.
quiet on my edge ups, man. Like my edge ups are everything.
I don't know how I'm gonna feel if my son ever like wants to go get his haircut from somebody.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
I've been cutting his hair. I think I first gave him a haircut when he was like 10 months. And a lot of people ask me like, how well does he sit? And I'm like, dude, he sits like he's the best. Like, but I think because I cut his hair every other week when he was little to like kind of train him to sit
Mhm.
still, that he's just good.
Do you have any merch coming out?
Um, I've been thinking about it. Um, I don't like. I like to have my merch because I like that like people are in town wearing it, right? And then it's like it could be a conversation like, hey, where'd you get that shirt? Um, like my friend Joey, he wears my shirts and he works at that place called One Time Tavern, that bar, going towards like Wonder World. And then Allison Juarez, her family owns Manas. You know where Manas is at?
Mhm.
She has some of my shirts too. So like she just actually hit me up today asking if I was gonna like if I had some merch available because she wanted to buy some. So she was like, "Yeah, me and Joey are wearing our shirts on Sunday. So that's cool. Like, right, they're at the bar. A bunch of people are always in and out of bars, so like they're wearing that. I don't like necessarily like making it because it like you gotta go with a shirt and you gotta get the program and I gotta figure out like a design and I don't want it to become like a clothing brand, right? Like so I kind of just do it as I feel. Like if I just kind of get an idea of like for a shirt, I'll do it. But I don't really have like merch just automatically available only because it's not like cheap and it's like time consuming to sit there and just like make shirts and then you don't really ever know like people's sizes, right? Like I don't want to go make a bunch of shirts and like other people are asking for sizes that I didn't like already make.
Yeah.
But I'm sure I will make something this year, like a couple shirts, couple new shirts, but yeah.
As of right now,
you could set up.
So when it comes to like new customers, are you open for new customers, or is it just one of those things like you have what you have and you're not like pushing further than that?
No, I'm down to have a new customer all the time. Like I'm always, and I like the diversity of the haircuts. Like I like you and like 3 or 2 other people like basically kind of have the same style of haircut. So like I got y'all's haircut like nothing, right? Like right now I'm taking my time because we're talking and stuff like that. But like normally, you know, sometimes I get you in here and out of here in like 20 minutes, right?
When my baby girl's with me.
Yeah. But yeah, I like to take on new customers, especially because like if their haircut is different. I like the longer haircuts. Like I like to do these because you can see like the gradual like from the skin to hair, and it looks super clean. But I also like to do like the longer haircuts, like because it's like more challenging to like blend that hair in from like a zero skin to like all of this hair. And for a long time I was like timid, like I didn't want to do those haircuts when people are like, can you just give me like a really low drop fade and blend it into my long hair? I was like, oh man, I like hated it, but I just did the work, right? Like I'm always even now I'm always on YouTube. Like I'm on YouTube or like I'm on Reels and I'm watching people cut hair. Like I'm watching the people who I think are like really good barbers. Like I watch their stuff. And it's like I'm not somebody who thinks I know it all. So like I'm always willing to learn. I'm always willing to gain knowledge. And like if I could find something in a haircut that's gonna make me faster or like make y'all's haircuts cleaner, like I'm willing to learn that. So yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. Well, like I said, I really appreciate you allowing me you being on my podcast and allowing me to come out here and get this done. I really appreciate everybody tonight. I'm gonna finish up out here. Y'all be safe. Y'all have a wonderful start to 2025, and it's your boy Nesto. Yalla. Well, wait. My bad. Britt, give out your social medias to everybody where they can find you if you want them to find you. My bad. That was me being stupid.
Nah, you're good. I'm on Facebook, Hurtcutz. I don't really get on Facebook, so mainly I'm on Instagram. So Instagram at Hurtcutz. It's the same, both. I think if you click, like, if you're on Facebook, you click the link and it'll take you to Instagram or whatever. But yeah, get on Instagram, get on Facebook, follow me. And then I have like a booking app on there as well. If you want to make an appointment, hit the book me button.
Make sure y'all book. Y'all go book. We're going to get her a lot of businesses this year. Your day 2025. Y'all be safe. Yalla.